I'm Marci.
And I'm Noah.
We grew up watching Disney Channel, and every few weeks a new Disney Channel original movie, or DCOM, would be released.
Since we were kids, we would love to get snacks and enjoy watching new, sometimes relatable movies on our favorite channel.
Well, we're not really kids anymore, but we decided we wanted to revisit our younger selves by rewatching all 110 DCOMs, and we want you to join us for the nostalgia.
So every Friday, we're sharing our thoughts and feelings on the DCOM of the week. So join us, the DCOM kids, as we share our recap of Gotta Kick It Up. Aside from the camera cutting out, we nailed it on the first try. So because of that, I'm ignoring that.
Same. I'm fine with that.
Oh, that's not the right camera. Yeah, we're just going with it.
Yeah,
we're going with it.
We got it first try.
I'm so happy about that. And I was like, oh no, it's not live. It's not supposed to be live. We're good. We're good.
It's okay.
Yeah, welcome to DCOM Kids, everybody.
Yes.
As we said in the beginning, we rewatched Gotta Kick It Up this week, today. You probably watched it 2 or 3 times, I would guess.
I've watched it twice, yeah.
Okay. That was my assumption.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you, and see, it's one of those stupid things where I'm like, I should have just let you write this one and just taken the next 2. Right? Just because I feel like you would have had more fun writing this than I did. I didn't hate it. I didn't not enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, there's vernacular that I'm definitely missing. And I feel like you would have been a more knowledgeable source on writing this one.
That's okay.
Before we dive in too deep, I do want to give you a heads up.
Yes.
As we are reading through our scene by scene,
okay,
you're going to have to do some mental corrections because I didn't do it yet.
Okay.
Because I kept writing Madison.
Oh.
And not the name of this. What's the name of the school? Marshall. I kept writing Madison instead of Marshall. And I don't know why, other than the fact that my wife worked at Madison at one point, at Madison Elementary School.
That's possible, yeah.
And so the M's just got stuck in my head, and that was all I could think about. And I did correct it like halfway through writing it, but like anytime it says Madison, just Marshall. I was gonna like find and replace before we started, and I forgot. So
that's okay.
Here we are.
Yeah.
And I need to remember that camera 4 is where that guy is right now, because I keep hitting 3 and it goes blank. Anyway, let's get into this, shall we? I believe if we do this, no, because we added the choreographer. I was going to say if we do this right, you should start talking, and that would loop us right in the right spot. But we have an extra line, so I think I usually read the first 2, and then we go 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you say the first 2.
I usually, I just start it. It's okay.
I'll start the people.
Okay, sounds good. Well, this film was released in 2002. Again, I think this is our third or fourth.
This is our third or fourth, yeah.
Somewhere in there. 2002 DCOM. And this one has a slew of writers. And actually, when you go on to IMDb, there's like 2 more writers listed.
Oh, wow.
But they're not credited. So it's a little confusing, but
maybe they were ghostwriters.
Maybe, or just like one of them was our good friend at this point, whose name just escaped my mind as I was thinking about it. Stu Krieger, yeah. He was one of the writers listed on IMDb, and I think he is like the DCOM writer. Yeah. Where like people write it, and then he kind of reviews and says, okay, well, this is going on Disney Channel. These are the things we need to adjust to make it work that way.
Okay.
I think. But anyway, the main writers were Megan Cole, Nancy de los Santos Reyes, and Ramon Menendez.
Cool.
I'm going to pretend I said all that correctly.
All right. First up on our cast list, we have America Ferrera, who played Yolanda.
Yes. And then, sorry. I screwed up by not making this big enough. Camille, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Camille Gotti played Daisy.
Susan Egan played Heather Bartlett.
Sabrina
Weiner,
thank you, because my brain went somewhere else. Played Esmeralda.
Miguel Sandoval played Principal Zavala.
Zavala.
I was trying to read it fast.
Sulima Rodriguez played Marisol.
Johanna Flores played Alyssa.
Elizabeth Song played Mrs. Kim. Miss Kim, sorry.
Eric Alexander Gavicha, yes, played Chewie.
Chewbacca. Gina Gallego played Gallego, you're right. Gallego played Mrs. Cortez.
Valentine Rodriguez played Mr. Reyna.
You're going to love what I wrote in the script for that.
Okay.
This film was directed by Ramon Menendez, who was one of our writers, which is pretty cool.
The music was composed by Craig Safin. Safon?
Yeah, Safon, that's how I read it. The editor was Nancy Richardson.
Cinematographer Clark Mathis.
And for the first time in DCOM Kids history, the choreographer. Go ahead.
Liz Imperia.
Very nice. Marci, if you guys don't know, is like a dancer.
Yes.
Would you say you're a professional dancer, or are you a former professional dancer? Because you were a professional dancer most definitely at one point. But are you still considered a professional dancer?
I would say I am a former professional.
Okay.
Because now you
are a choreographer now.
I am a choreographer, so
there.
I'd be considered a professional choreographer.
Fair enough.
Technically. Because I do get paid to do the work, which is to choreographer. So that's kind of what like makes you a professional, is if you're getting paid for your work, I guess.
Right.
So technically I was never a professional performer because I was never paid to
I guess
perform.
that's fair.
So I am a professional choreographer and a pre-professional performer.
Very nice. I mean, I don't know. You competed in competitions, didn't you?
Yeah, but I didn't win any money for it.
Doesn't matter. I don't think that matters at that point. I think there's two ways you can be professional.
Two.
Still not the right camera.
I think I performed in 2 competitions.
Still?
But I worked.
You competed?
But I worked on like multiple the next year. So
you mostly choreography though.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair. So Marci naturally loves this movie. I'm sure of it. There was I'm not gonna lie to you. The beginning of the movie moved really slowly for me.
A little bit, yeah.
And then I kind of felt it just dragging the whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I liked this movie. Okay.
Yes.
But it is very much
was weird.
The pacing was too slow for me, and it is very much. I think what it is just like, like I care about it in the instance that you are my sister and I will support you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's not something that I enjoy myself in my free time.
That's fine.
And so I felt like it was like, this is not a bad movie. I enjoyed watching it, but this is another one of those where it sits on it's in the lower levels of my shelves for DCOMs to watch. It'll probably come up again, but probably not for a while.
Did Adriana watch it with you?
No, I watched it this morning.
You need to watch it again with Adriana because I think she'd really love it.
Yeah, I think there's moments, there's
because,
aspects of it that she would like a lot.
Like, I don't know how much she is into like the dancing portion of it and all, but
she will probably be slightly more into it than I am.
Yeah, but it does have like that cultural feeling to it where it's like, this is like one of the first DCOMs. It's like, aside from Brink, where they had the she was from Peru, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Where they had Gabriella from Peru. Mm-hmm. This is like one of the only times they
highlight Latin American culture. Yeah.
Where it's like a different culture.
Yeah.
Kind of like True Confessions highlighted like being on the spectrum and all that. This one's highlighting being a different race and growing up differently, like being in a different community.
Yeah.
Which
I'm with that.
Yeah, I really like this one.
Heck yeah. Right on. Well, without any further ado, let's get into that Disney Plus summary, shall we? It's the beginning of a new school year at Marshall Middle School, but for one group of girls, it feels more like the end. The dance team coach has retired, with no replacement in sight. But Mrs. Bartlett... Miss Bartlett, a new biology teacher, has studied dance and accepts the role. After their first competition is a disaster, the team buckles down and greatly improves. But when the girls enter another competition without school or parental permission, They risk losing their coach. The girls must cope with troubled relationships, failing grades, and low self-esteem, and a lack of funds. But their new si se puede attitude pulls them through to the finals. I'm like, do I even need to...
Do we need to go
scene by scene? That's pretty much that nailed tracks. It right there.
Yeah. That's everything. That's the whole movie.
It really is summarized
in one paragraph.
Really quickly. Okay, well, let's just take a moment to appreciate that, though, because how often do we read those Disney Plus summaries? And we're like, what are you talking about?
We're like, okay, so there's a girl and she goes to school.
Right.
Cool.
And you're like, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, Marci, I'm going to let you kick off that scene by scene for us, if you would.
Alrighty. This film opens to a tracking shot following Yolanda as she approaches a vendor to collect a notebook, pen, and peanut butter cups.
I did not know what to call that thing that she goes to because
it's like the school store.
Okay, it looked like a concession stand, but then I was like, I don't know if I can call it that because she's getting paper and a pen. Yeah, she got something else too, but I couldn't remember what it was, so I just said that.
Notebook.
The peanut butter cup.
Notebook, pen. Ruler.
The ruler was the one. That's okay. Whatever. It's fine. Anywho.
As she is heading to class, a bully knocks the peanut butter cups out of her hands, stomps on them. Just then, Daisy appears and tells the bullies to get lost. We cut to the parking lot where Miss Bartlett is arriving for her first day as a new teacher at Marshall Middle. As she enters the school, Alyssa, who is reading a book while walking, accidentally bumps into Miss Bartlett. Alyssa gives Miss B directions to the admin building, and the two go their separate ways.
In the courtyard, Yolanda and... Sorry, I had to change cameras. Lost it. Yolanda and Daisy are dancing while a gaggle of people watch. Esmeralda looks on and tries to get them to dance to some, quote, girly music, but Daisy isn't having it. We jump ahead to the admin office where Principal Zavala is giving stern talks to two students as Miss Bartlett enters. She learns that... I'm never going to... We're going to go through this whole thing. I'm going to have to stop and read it every time because I'm not going to remember to pronounce it. Zavala, because I keep wanting to put a D, I think. I keep wanting to call him Zavalda, but it's just Zavala.
Yeah.
She learns that Zavala once... See, I did it just then. Zavala once served in the armed forces, and he is sure to remind the students of that every chance he gets. He warns Bartlett about the challenges ahead, but determined, she trudges on and heads for her new classroom. There, she will find the students beating on their desks to create a beat while Yolanda dances her heart out.
Miss B gets the class to settle in and explains biology class. The students are uninterested and once again break out into desk beats, and this time Daisy breaks out into dance. Although she realizes things are slightly out of hand, she seems to be impressed by Daisy's moves. Just then, Colonel Zavala calls the room to attention, instantly silencing the class. He assigns detention and expresses his disappointment to Miss B, reminding her an effective leader takes control of their troops immediately. Noah would strongly disagree with that statement.
That's not what a leader is. That is not what a leader is. After class, we learn the school's dance team coach retired, and there won't be a team this year. As we cut ahead, we are in Esmeralda's home, where her little brother steals her music box and hides under a table. Just then, Ernie from George Lopez enters and demands Junior give her back the music box, and she imagines herself as a ballerina. Next, we see Daisy exiting her house and hopping into a car with her boyfriend, Chewy. As he drives her to school, she shares her desire to drop out of school and go out into the real world with him. He informs her that it's not that much different in the real world.
As we re-enter the school, Esmeralda is in the admin office and peeks into the file before Zavala enters the room. As he passes by her, she approaches, pleading with him to let Miss B be the new dance coach since she went to Juilliard on a dance scholarship. He agrees to ask her to take on the coaching role. Later on, he tries his best to convince her, but seems to be unsuccessful. Later that day, Esmeralda enters Miss B's classroom and pushes the issue. Sorry.
It's fine.
And pushing the issue, offering tips for controlling students in exchange for Miss B taking on the dance team. Moments later, as we hear announcements over the PA, we learn that she accepted the terms and will coach the dance team.
Upon hearing of the dance team, Daisy decides to try and get out of her detention by joining the dance team instead. This works somehow, and we skip ahead to the tryouts. Before anyone is allowed to dance, Miss B lays out the rules. With each new rule, another student leaves. The tryouts. Just as Miss B is about to let the girls show off their moves, Zavala and the boys' basketball team enter the gym. After some back and forth about scheduling two teams to use the gym at the same time, they agree to share the gym. That is until a rogue basketball smashes the stereo and the dance team decides to move to another space. Once in the new location, we dive into a montage of the girls showing off their best dance moves. As Esmeralda takes the floor, we learn that she may not be as good as she thinks she is.
As everyone wraps up, Miss B informs the girls that the next day they will meet at the track to work on building up their stamina, and if anyone has a problem with that, they'd be better off not continuing with the team. On the track, the team and Miss B discuss the competition coming in 2 weeks, and they need a routine. Daisy gives an example of some moves they could try, but no one else seems to like the number of spins and chooses to include, and they are sprung into a heated argument. Jumping ahead 2 weeks, the girls unpack their pom-poms from storage, and it seems they've been in there for about a century. Here we also learn that the team's uniforms are missing, and they will have to compete in their gym clothes.
As they enter the competition venue, Alyssa introduces Miss B to her parents, and the announcer calls the next school, Rolling Hills, to the floor and informs Marshall to get ready. The girls watch the Rolling Hills team and almost lose their nerve. After some encouragement from Miss B, they hesitantly take to the stage and begin their routine. To say it crashed and burned would be mean. Accurate, but mean. The girls are understandably upset, and Esmeralda confronts Miss B, as she seems to be holding back and not being the best coach she can be. Later, Chewie and Daisy stop by the school to pick up her backpack and discovers Miss B dancing her heart out in the gym. Seeing this angers Daisy, as they never got to see that side of her before.
When Miss B tries to convince Daisy to rejoin the dance team, she is shot down because Daisy is still upset that Miss B only dances when no one is looking. We fast forward to the next team practice where Miss B starts with the basics on rhythm on an 8-count exercise. While they are finishing the workout, Daisy enters the gym, clearly having a change of heart. Miss B leads them in a warm-up dance, and we spring ahead to the team dancing much better than before. Later, after class, Yolanda and Esmeralda confront Miss B about keeping them from competing in the next competition. When she asks the girls to be patient, they conspire.
I had to reread that to make sure I spelled it right.
They conspire to manipulate Miss B into taking them to the competition.
Their best idea is to break into the admin office and put music on over the PA and start a flash mob. This, unfortunately, has an adverse effect and upsets Miss B, who reprimands the girls for not respecting her decision as the coach. As she exits, she informs the girl that the principal found the uniforms and told them they will likely need work. We jump ahead to Alyssa's house, where the girls are digging through supplies to improve the uniforms. When they realize they are sprucing up their uniforms for no reason, they decide to go to the competition without Miss B. Took me a minute to find the button to switch cameras. That's awkward.
Upon arriving at the competition, the check-in lady informs them their coach must sign them in. But being quick on her feet, Daisy spins a tale of Miss B being in the restroom, and she signs in for them. Because we always follow protocol unless the main character gives a half-baked excuse and it is necessary for the plot. Accurate. Anyway, realizing the coach usually starts the music for the routine, Daisy again thinks quickly and recruits Chewie to play the track for them. The next school enters the stage as the Marshall girls cheer them good luck. As the other team finishes, the Marshall girls huddle up and chant "Si se puede" and run on the stage. This time around, the routine goes a million times better. All the girls are in sync and performing with tremendous energy. The crowd gives them a standing ovation as they end their routine.
Daisy is pulled aside by one of the judges, who also happens to be the dean of the High School of Performing Arts, Mrs. Elliott. She invites Daisy to attend the high school next year and offers her a scholarship if it's truly what she wants. When the girls arrive back at the school, we learn they placed third in the competition, but Alyssa's parents are waiting for them and confront them for lying about the competition, and informs the girls they will be telling the principal. When Esmeralda arrives home, she is berated for being home so late and expresses her desire to have something for herself outside of all the things she has to do for her little brother.
Later, Daisy makes a visit to Miss B's to discuss the terrible position they put her in. While arguing, Miss B gives her a peek into her life growing up. Her parents pushing her to be better because nothing was good enough for them. Here we learn Miss B never actually graduated Juilliard. In fact, she only attended for 2 weeks. And Miss B confesses her fears weren't that the girls weren't capable on winning, but that she wasn't capable of leading them to victory.
After having a talk with Alyssa's parents, they decide not to tell Zavala about the girls' field trip, and they give Alyssa permission to continue on the team. We jump into a montage of the girls attending competitions, practices, and playing games in class. At the end of the montage, Miss B encourages Daisy to take the offer from Mrs. Elliott and go to the Performing Arts High School. After placing second in their most recent competition, the team is going to regionals. Unfortunately, the news upsets Chewie, and he flips his top and dumps Daisy on the spot. After feeling some emotions back at home, Daisy calls Mrs. Elliott and asks for an application to the Performing Arts School.
At the school the next day, Zavala informs Miss B there isn't any more money in the budget for the girls to go to regionals. Well, the girls won't hear that and decide to raise the money themselves. Later that evening, Miss B is on a run. Wow, hold on. While Miss B is on a run, she arrives back home to find an old friend who attempts to recruit her to be in charge of customer relations for a blog. She agrees to interview for the job because that information won't possibly get out and cause more major issues in the next 5 minutes. But back at school, we learn Yolanda is failing math. But that's when Marisol informs the girls that Miss B was talking on the phone about a new job. That didn't take long to come around.
Just before practice, as the girls are waiting for Miss B, they argue over whether or not the rumors are true and if Miss B will actually take the job. As she finally enters, the girls keep interrupting her and writing her off until she finally speaks up and informs them she didn't take the job, even though they made a very generous offer. Sorting that out, Miss B visits Zavala and comes up with a plan to boost Yolanda's grade in math by calculating the money raised for the regionals trips. And that also worked somehow, because calculating how much you made versus just counting the bills that's math, baby.
Math, baby.
I lost my spot though somehow. When they come up $100 short, and suddenly, without warning, Chewie arrives with a brigade of cars to close the gap and finally send the girls to regionals.
Once at the competition, Daisy is immediately spotted by Mrs. Elliot, who expresses her excitement for her application and wishes her well on the competition. As usual in this film, another school is up on the stage and Marshall is next. These girls seem to have a talent at arriving right before they're supposed to perform. Peeking out at the audience, Daisy gets nervous as Miss Elliot is watching. Miss B encourages her, informing her that it is about being your best, not the best.
The girls take to the stage and and as the routine starts, Daisy freezes. After a couple moments, she throws off the inhibition and breaks into the routine. As the routine ends, the crowd erupts in cheers and gives them a standing ovation. I didn't write that part, but I meant to. Mm-hmm. The girls talk about their ambitions of state, nationals, and even international championships. Chewie flags Daisy over and informs her that he is going to go back to school. The girls dance with Miss B and take a photo, after which we cut to the girls throwing their pom-poms up in the air, and we never learn how they did, but they probably won. That was one of my least favorite parts of the movie.
The ending?
Was the ending, because they are at regionals. They do very, very well on this. Mm-hmm. Like, they do the whole thing where Daisy, like, does the splits and, like, two of the girls hold her, and then, like, do, like, the weird, like, boat thing. Like,
yes. Like a little wave.
I didn't see any of the other schools do nothing like that.
Right?
So I'm like, they probably won, but they give you no closure on it.
I would assume because they take the picture they won.
I see, and that was kind of what I was assuming too, but I'm like, there's literally there's no trophy in that photo, so it's like, are we just supposed to assume this? Like,
I think so.
And then it's like, did they get to go to state? Like, are they going to national? I don't know. None of this, we just don't get to know.
I wanted them to make a second Gotta Kick It Up so that we could see, like, a continuation. Like, see
what happened.
Daisy go off to that performing arts high school, or even if they made one now, hear me out.
Okay.
And Daisy comes back as the dance coach.
Okay. I dig that.
I would like that. Disney, cool. Get on it.
Let's write it. Me and you.
That'll be the 112th DCOM. Let's go.
Probably 113th.
Probably.
It's not going to be very fast.
If Zombies comes out with another movie.
Honestly, I gotta stop going to 3. 3's not a thing right now.
Or if Descendants makes another movie after Rise of Red.
Oh gosh, could you imagine? Where would the story even go? Like, I don't know. I need to watch it because I don't know where the story ends. But
yeah,
I feel like they have a habit of doing that with DCOMs, where like, and this is where the story ends. Except now we do this.
But now we're gonna look over here.
This is how the story ends. Except it's not.
Yeah, because like with Descendants, it ends with them like, oh, the evil kids can now be a part of the group.
Yeah, because the evil kids aren't so evil. Just their parents are.
And they're like, yay. And then the second one is where they bring in more.
And then do the same thing, basically, right? Where like, oh, there's more evil kids. They're not evil either. It's just their parents. You're like, okay.
And then the third one, we find out Mal has a dad.
Crazy.
And it's, spoiler, Hades.
Wild.
You're like, Maleficent and Hades?
Okay. Guess it makes sense.
Sure.
They're both
purple and blue. They match.
Yeah, they're both the same. Yeah.
Sure.
Overall, anyway. I did enjoy watching the movie.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the pacing mostly.
Yeah, it was a weird pacing. I would agree, but
it was definitely the beginning. It was super slow.
Really?
Yeah, I felt like the first like probably 15-20 minutes of the movie, I'm like,
even though she's like running to
yeah, honestly, like just
like it's
just the progression of the storyline going on is like, there's a lot of, I think maybe that's what it is for me, is there's so much dancing that the dancing itself doesn't move the story along. And so there's just these big chunks of area where it's like, this is a really good dancing, but the story is
like,
different from here to here.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay.
It was good though. I liked it. I didn't dislike it.
This was one of my favorite movies growing up.
Well,
for sure.
Good for you. You know what? That's good for you. What was your favorite scene? Which one is your favorite scene? We're not talking about least. I did talk about my least favorite scene. Yeah. I didn't mean to.
The whole movie's my favorite scene, but
you say that so much.
I know, but this one for reals. Because it is like so close to like my actual life, not actual life,
it
but
just
like
it hits close to home.
It hits close to home, yeah. because it is focused around dance. It is focused around teaching dance.
Okay.
You know, so it's like before I identified with the girls auditioning.
Sure.
And now I'm like, I'm Miss Bartlett now.
That's pretty cool.
Where I'm the dance teacher now.
I get that. That's pretty cool.
And they're all trying out for me. But my favorite is probably the first one is when you actually get to see Miss Bartlett dancing in the gym.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, first it's very 2000, like early 90s, 2000s
super
choreography.
Yeah.
But that's the timeline it's supposed to be. There's like one part where she does like little waves in her arms.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so funny.
That is funny.
And then my second is their final dance competition when that whole dance routine is
Fair
just
enough.
like,
Yeah.
so good.
There you go.
So good.
I think my favorite scene, and it's a stupid one, but it is my favorite one, and it's because it's probably the one that sticks in my head the most.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every time we do these, I have a scene in the movie that plays in my head until I actually watch the movie and figure out where it fits in the timeline of the movie. And that is when they get kicked out of the gym, basically, and they have to go into
the parking garage.
Well, it's not a parking garage. It's like a shop.
Oh.
In like
yeah.
It's not a wood shop, but it's like
it's like at the mechanics.
You're in there for
shop.
mechanics, but like it's where you would learn to do the mechanics on the cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're in the classroom part of it, which is like on a catwalk above it.
Yeah.
And I just love that.
But they're playing
scene.
music through her car.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think it was her car because she had a green convertible, and the car that was playing the music had a hard top.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't pay that close. I was busy watching them dance. So.
See, I did pay close attention.
I thought it was her car for some reason.
No, I don't think it was her car. Because the radio was like pulled out. It wasn't like the radio wasn't like in the dash. It was like pulled out.
Oh, so it was like a car that they were working on.
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
But see, I think that is one of my favorite scenes. And I don't know why, other than the fact that I just remember them dancing in front of that railing.
Yeah.
And my brain is like, why are they at like an auto body shop?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, it's because it's in the school.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
Anywho, that's still not the right camera.
It's okay.
One other random thing is that like one of the things that threw me off about this movie so much, first of all, this is middle schoolers. But they're in 9th grade.
Yeah.
Which was breaking my brain because
I don't know.
Realized that like there's like junior high, like there's junior high and there's high school, right?
Right.
And if there's junior high and high school, that's typically like 7th through 9th grade if it's junior high.
Yeah.
And then high school is 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Right.
Right. But when it's middle school and high school, it's typically 6th through 8th.
Yeah.
And then 9th through 12th is high school.
Yeah.
But they kept talking about being in middle school. It was Marshall Middle School. Mm-hmm. But they're all in 9th grade.
Did they say they were in 9th grade?
Yeah, they kept saying something about 9th graders being 9th graders.
Okay.
Or being in 9th grade. It came up several times where they talked about 9th grade.
Oh yeah, because Chewy was like, yeah, when I was in 9th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that I kind of have a little bit of a problem with. I'm not gonna lie.
How old is Chewy versus?
He's at least 16, right?
At least.
But she's in 9th grade, which is 13 or 14.
Yeah. No, that's always been a problem in my brain. I always thought he was like way older than that when I first watched it.
When she first got in the car, I was like, is this her brother or like cousin or something? And then he's like, sweet, just like you. It does that weird little flirty thing. And I'm like, oh, gross. No, this is her boyfriend.
It's her boyfriend.
It's like,
gross.
Yeah. Gross.
He's probably like 16.
And
16
I'm going to say
17.
minimum.
Yeah.
But also everyone at the middle school, every single person, every student at the middle school was like, Emily, you're at least 20. Come on now.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get hung up on all that. And we're going to let that go because, I understand that they can't do a lot of like children because they can only work like if you're under
if you're under 18,
you can only work a certain number of hours a day.
Yeah.
Right. And so like filming this movie would take years.
Probably. Yeah.
So we won't get into all that. And I'm just going to turn it over to you. And I'm going to let you purely rate this because this is definitely like your wheelhouse. You
already know what I'm going to rate it.
I'm guessing it's getting a 5.
It's getting a 5.
Which is why I'm not doing anything to influence because we'd have to balance them out. And I'm like, is a 2 really that fair for this? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I was like, that's too low.
That's the balance.
Even if it was slow paced. It was not a 2.
It was not a 2.
I would expect a 3.5 from you.
I would say probably 3.5, maybe a 4. But I'll give you the 5 because this is like we get those that we like. I love Xenon, so Xenon automatically gets 5s or more.
Yeah.
Right? You can have this one as your Xenon.
Yeah. Alley Cat's got over.
Yes, true.
Horse Sense got over. Jumping Ship got over.
Yes. Am I wrong in saying that I feel like we agree on those ones, but like, am I wrong in saying that Xenon like deserves it?
Yeah. No.
Okay. At least the first one definitely deserves it.
Yeah.
The second one may just be me really loving Xenon, but I feel like it's also really good. And I think Z3 is also one of those right up there with it. I feel like those movies were really good.
Yeah. That was like a good standard for Disney to set. Like.
Yeah, I agree.
Xenon sequels?
Yeah. Xenon. Well, the Xenon the sequel, and Xenon Z3.
Trilogy. That's the
trilogy. Okay, there you go.
The Xenon trilogy is.
Yeah. It's a really good trilogy for DCOMs.
Yeah.
Like,
it's really good.
Arguably, in my opinion, this is where my personal opinion definitely takes over. Mm-hmm. Arguably better than the High School Musical trilogy. I love High School Musical. Don't get me wrong, but I like Xenon a little more.
No, I'll give you that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Thank you. Yeah. The other thing I was going to say about this that I completely forgot about, I was going to write it at the beginning of the notes and I forgot, but I'm going to say it now. Hallelujah. This was not narrated.
Yes.
I was so relieved the whole time watching. It was like, it's so nice not hearing someone
talking about what's happening in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a relaxing night. Morning,
I'll
I
agree with that.
Right on. Any final thoughts as we wrap up here?
Did, but then in the beginning when they're like, yeah, we need a routine. We have 2 weeks until competition.
No, for real.
Like,
yeah. I'm not a dancer, and I know that's not enough time.
When I started competition, we had a month to learn our dance, practice it, get it perfected.
Yeah. But even then, I'm like, whoever choreographed it probably had an idea of what it was going to look at before that.
Well, no.
Okay.
My teacher didn't.
Fair enough.
She didn't. But she was very good at, like, listening to the music and being like, all right, this is what we're doing. Like,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. She was like, she had an idea of the song she wanted to do.
Okay, so see, I think that's why I think there's a little bit of like, I want this song, and then these are some of the general moves that I wanted. I just need to figure out how to link these to these and do this and that.
Yeah.
So I feel like she was probably like, there was some form of this routine in her head before.
Yeah. But like for a school, you have more than 2 weeks. Like you should have, at that 2 week mark, you should have at least your song and half the song choreographed. Yeah. 2 weeks before the competition.
And I would say that's fair, although like it's very I don't know how long it's been since the beginning of the school year, because like
that's true.
That's the other thing with the pacing at the beginning of the movie is like if things are happening and it's like, is this the same day as this?
Yeah. There's no like full timeline.
Like I think the parking lot when Bartlett first pulls into the parking lot, all the way up to the point where Daisy gets detention.
That's all
first
day.
Obviously the first day.
Yeah.
And I would venture to imagine at least the next morning when Daisy gets picked up and gets taken to school by Chewie, that is also the same day or the next day.
That's the next day.
Because she's informing him that she has detention.
Yeah.
Right? But then between that and Bartlett taking position as the coach and then actually starting the tryouts and then starting practices and stuff, like I don't know how much time passes in there, because it seems like it could be a day, it could be like 2 weeks, I don't know.
If that first competition was 2 weeks from where they were at, they probably wouldn't have put them in that competition.
That's what I would have thought too. I would have been like,
it would have been the next
practice.
Competition.
Yeah.
See,
let's get to work.
Find their level. That's what I do. When I do like dance auditions and their callback dance, I give them like kind of a hard but like easy, so I can see their level and then I can choreograph around their level. Right. Because if I'm choreographing for myself, it's going to be a lot harder than what I'm going to choreograph for a 10-year-old. Right. So if I don't know what their level is, I can't choreograph unless I know what their level is. Yeah. So like, I know that's what her tryouts were for.
To an extent.
But like, that was like, it wasn't good.
It wasn't gelling.
Yeah.
I would have waited too. I would have not done the first competition. Yeah. And I would have had the first one be whatever the second one was.
Right. Yeah.
Right on. Well, that's all I got to say. I feel like you've spoken your piece. You've been talking a lot anyway. Maybe you haven't. You got more to say?
No.
Okay.
That's all.
No worries.
All good.
Next week, we are going to be rewatching and discussing the recap of Ring of Endless Light, which is starring Ryan Merriman. Mm-hmm. Back for his third DCOM. And I'm like, I think this is his last one, unfortunately. Yeah. But it's inspiring me to look at like what else he's done. Right. You know? And I want to like watch some of his other movies because like
outside of Disney.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. He's done a lot of different things. Like his first one is Smart House. He played a kid who was trying to hold his family together after their mom passed away. And in the second movie that he was in, it was Luck of the Irish. He's dealing with the fact that he's becoming a leprechaun and having to navigate that. Yeah. In this one, he's okay. To be fair, he isn't technically the star of this movie because the movie is about a girl. Yeah. She just happens to work with Ryan Merriman's character who becomes like the lead male, but is like kind of a supporting character. Yeah. So he's not the star. So maybe his chops won't like stand out as much. Like, but I think his like acting range still will come through because he goes from being like the center of attention to like how does he look now that he's not the center and he's like a side character, but also important. So
he's like the supporting lead. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. But I'm excited for it. I don't think I've ever seen it before, been
I think we've probably seen parts of it before because it's definitely been on like the reruns.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like when Disney does it's literally called Disney Rewinds. Yeah. And they would like play these at like
2 a.m.
Yeah, they play them like really late at night.
Not that we've ever watched
those. I went to bed at 9:00 every night.
Me too. Keep going to 3. That's so annoying. Sorry about this YouTube watchers. There's a lot of blank spaces in here. I connected this camera right here to a different port that it's normally on, so I keep out of habit hitting the wrong button. But that's okay. Oh well. Yeah. Right on.
Anyway,
that's all I got to say. Adriana and I will be live on Monday night at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I think Standard Time. I forget which side we're on. Whatever, Mountain Time. Where we'll be doing our normal episode of Noah Parker's World of Wonder, and then Wednesday night I will be live playing some MC Parks, hopefully joined by my good friend Percy. I say good friend. Everyone's my good friend out here. You are all my good friends. But Percy's been playing with me on MC Parks. He's one of our subscribers, and he's fun to hang out with on the parks, and it's fun to like play on this Minecraft server that is the parks and have somebody there with me because I'm by myself most of the time. So it's nice to be joined by someone, and getting that support from just anybody is really big, and I really appreciate it, and I love playing with him. So that's all I got. Next week, Ring of Endless Light. Make sure you watch it before you come back. But until then, my dear friends, let the wonder take hold.